As a teacher, one of the most important things that you do, and one of the most challenging and time consuming things, is creating a lesson plan that results in good student engagement and good student learning. Well, what I'm going to show you in the next few minutes is how we can use AI not only to make this process easier, but also to make it better so that your students have the best chance to learn. All right, so with this process, we're going to get to the lesson plan development in just a second, but the first thing we have to do is figure out what instructional approach we're going to be using. What model is going to help students have the best opportunity to master the content? So we're going to look at this two ways. The first is right here, this prompt here. So if we're not exactly sure what approach we should take, the AI can help us to make that decision. Now, you're still going to stay in charge, and your professional judgment is still going to control this process, but we can get some help making those decisions. So here we've got our grade level, we've got our subject area, we've got our specific topic, we even have our standard in there. And then we've got some things about our students, mixed readiness, some ELL, and what are we asking for? 3 instructional approaches may be appropriate. And tell me why they might be appropriate. Because I need, as a teacher, to decide how do I want to go about the instruction. So let's see what that gives us for starters. And when I add that prompt over here to ChatGPT, it's going to give me 3 different instructional approaches for this particular content. So I've got one, and you'll see I've got a method in there, and I've got a rationale, which is why might this one be useful. And I'm going to review these pretty carefully. I'm going to look at, what are they about, of course, what do they look like, and I'm going to look very carefully at the rationale, because this is how I'm going to use my judgment to make the best decision, by understanding what do these different models bring to the table. Now, I mentioned we're going to do this in 2 ways. In many cases, you might already have a particular pedagogical approach in mind, or one that you particularly espouse. And for example, here, very much the same prompt, but I'm specifically indicating a constructivist approach, because I want my kids to have a conceptual understanding first, which means I'm probably going to turn to constructivism. So very much similar, all the same stuff at the top, but how does a constructivist approach apply to this particular standard, and what might it look like and why? So here I'm specifying the particular approach, and I'm going to turn over to ChatGPT and say, if I use this particular approach, what might it look like with this content, and why might it be applicable? And it's going to, as soon as I can find it, it's going to do the same thing. Here's what it looks like. Here's what the approach is about. Here's what it would look like in practice right here. And some reasons why I might want to use it. Okay, so based on this, now I'm going to make a decision on how do I want to go about the instruction, because when we go next to actual lesson planning, I want to make sure that that particular approach is being followed. Right? All right, so, and we're just going to zip on past, so apologies for the motion sickness. All right, so now that I've got that, I need to start building the plan itself. So what am I going to ask for? I've got some structural elements here, 30 minutes, 3rd grade, math, multiplication, etc., etc. And you'll see in this particular case, I'm giving some specific requirements for this lesson plan, including here, the constructivist pedagogical approach. But I also like the Marzano particular model of the way lessons are conducted and the elements within lessons, so I can ask for that as well. Basically, what I'm doing here is I'm designing based on my own professional knowledge, my own expertise as a teacher, what should this lesson actually look like and what components and parts do I want to see in the plan. So I'm going to ask for small group work and manipulatives. I'm going to ask for cooperative learning for the group activities. I need objectives. I need activities. I need a formative assessment. And frankly, these are kind of common parts of all lessons. These are just things that go into a good lesson plan and a good instructional approach. So a few more structural items down here. Make it concise, classroom ready, and give me some clues about what should I as the teacher be doing here during this particular time. So this is my prompt, the full prompt for developing the lesson plan once I've made some decisions about how do I want the instruction to be conducted, what approach do I want to use to help students learn. So I've got grade, subject, topic, my pedagogical approach, my instructional model, all things that you're going to want to put into your plan as well. And then particular elements, group works, cooperative learning, and things that I need to kind of frame the entire lesson, objectives, activities, formative assessments, and make it ready to go. Okay, so once I've got that and turn it over, I'm going to get something which is pretty much immediately usable, but we're going to make some modifications. So objective, materials, and now we have the actual structure of what the lesson is going to look like. Great, great stuff. Plus, what do I as the teacher do during this time, right? I've got a plan for what the kids are doing, and I also have some ideas about what I can do to facilitate that learning process. So it goes on through, and if we were to spend more time looking at it, we would see all the pieces that I asked for are in there, including activity 1 and activity 2 because I asked for 2. So forth and so forth. And then finally, my formative assessment and what it can look like as well. Now, what I'm going to do at this point, as the teacher, is I'm going to read this very carefully. Does it apply to the standard I selected? Is it going to fit the timeline? Do I think it's going to work for the kids? Has it gone off track, or is it really going to help drive student learning on this particular topic? So I'm going to review it as the teacher with professional judgment and expertise in not only my content, but also in my students. Is it going to work? And do I need any adjustments? And that's just a part of the process. Your first time out the gate rarely gives you what you want. So there's always going to be some room for adjustments, and easy to do, right? Okay, and a summary, fine. Now, so let's say I'm looking at this carefully and I think it's all pretty good, but I've got a few kids that I think are really going to struggle with just the concept, the mathematical concept here. I need a scaffolded activity where I can help them build step by step by step their understanding of the mathematical concept. So I want to add something to this. It's 90% the way there. Here's my last 10%. I need a scaffolded activity for those kids who are really struggling with the concept. So I simply ask for it. And here's my scaffolded activity. And when am I going to use it? During activity 1, small group time, as a teacher-led or para-supported station within my classroom. Great. And here's what it looks like. So I can always go back and modify. And frankly, as a good teacher, you're probably going to be doing that anyway. So that is now going to give us all that we need for a good plan. But I will make one more note. There's not enough time in a school year for addressing every content standard one at a time, and it doesn't even make sense to do that. So one of the things I'm going to ask for is, by the way, what other standards are being addressed in this lesson? And it's going to tell me this lesson, the way it's designed, also is going to do these things over here. So there you go, making lesson planning easier and more effective for student learning. I hope you found this useful. Take care.